already went through this, okay, that initial slide. So,
Sir, you have to share the screen, sir.
oh yes, yes, yes. And you can start recording.
Yes, sir, already started.
Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So last class we are discussing the concept that aircraft design is a compromise. So if any one group just to prove their superiority takes over the design, this is how the final design will look like. So the benefit of the whole is more important than the development of individuals. In this case, at least, individual departments. Fuselage group, has full fuselage. Controls group only pulleys and levers here. Other things don't have any. They also need wings and control surfaces. Fuselage and engine are nowhere to be seen. RM and S group, I forgot. I'll just. I think this is. Uh, what is RM and S? Again forgot. Okay. See, wing group has a flying wing. No place for anything else. Hydraulic group, only hydraulics and pneumatics here. Everything else is block. They don't care about anything else. Tail group, you see an oversized tail there. Okay. So everybody tries to project their own importance. Equipment group is full of equipment. So see how much drag it will create. Then electrical group, full of wires and circuits and whatnot. No engine and nothing there. Okay, something is projecting out, a motherboard and thing. Power plant group, 80% of the aircraft is engine, nothing else. Aerodynamics group, everything is slim and sleek. Okay, so it can fly, but like a glider. There is no, fuselage is not big enough. There is no, no power plant also. Then weight group wants everything from balsa wood and microfilm. Hmm? If you put any carry meaningful payload, it won't take off. See, production engineering group want their production to be, as simple as possible. So make everything out of straight lines, blocks of wood. Armament group, nothing but armament, nothing else. Not even, is a pilot there? Not even space for him. Okay, so full of armaments. Then loft. Loft is something like, making the final setup ready. They want to make things as simple as possible for themselves. Okay. So see, production, there's no tail also. Here at least they have a tail, but everything is some cuboids. It's easiest to loft them. Then stress groups only want the structures. They don't want anything else. So you see, the chief designer has to put all these requirements and conflicting, things together. Chief designer has to talk to all the groups very well. If he's shy of talking or communicating, then he's not good for the job. Okay. So communication within the group, and finally taking decision among conflicting, requirements and conflicting, people who want to prove their own group's importance. So all these things should be weighed and carefully decided by a chief designer. He shouldn't get carried away by the arguments of any one of these groups. He should have the whole design and idea in mind. So all of you should think like chief designers when you are doing your design now. Later on, you may not become a chief designer immediately. You may become a designer in one of these groups and then make your way up to the chief designer position. So then in the design of an aircraft, there is never a right answer. There are many right answers. At a point of time, something may be a best answer. At some other point of time, things may change. So your design should be in such a way that it can adapt itself to many situations as possible, except in certain cases, which we'll see. So the reason is that the design of an aircraft is a balance between competing requirements, technical requirements like performance and survivability. Then your signature, radar signature is given here. Signature is large, then your survivability is at stake. Then appearance, you may have to compromise, may not have a aerodynamic design sometimes. Then economic, fuel, both purchasing cost and then maintenance and operating cost. Okay. And political thing, what are the policies, of various countries. India may have a policy that we don't buy something from this country. So in that situation, what is the best you can do? Okay. Then if you borrow money, you have to pay back. What is the risk, and so on and so forth. Okay. And when is it needed? The timing is also important. The need to be the first to market. That is, if you enter the market first, you have something called the first mover advantage. Before others can pick up, you can sell a lot and establish yourself, and also improve your product line meanwhile. So if you are smart, you can, and you have enough energy, you can always stay ahead of others in the market. Okay, so that is the advantage of first to market a product. So you can see all the other problems which come in between. Then this is very important nowadays, environmental issues. So you try to achieve your aim by wasting as little energy as possible. So high efficiency. Then you don't want to pollute the environment. Okay, so emissions are important. For example, liquid, the cryogenic engine, emission is just water, liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen. Fantastic. So that's what we should aim at, even for, civil aviation, probably down the line. How to make it cheap? How to make the production of liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, the storage, have as less carbon footprint as possible, which means even the production may involve some irreversible processes. That also should be minimized. So these are challenges you will face in your times. Okay. And noise reduction. We all know, so many of you are designing supersonic aircrafts. How much noise will be produced, and will it affect the cities down? Will it affect the people who are in the apartments, or who are in houses, residential places in cities over which it may pass? Then the priorities of the requirements also change with time. For example, I can see in my own time, the priority of environmental issues is now overtaking the other issues. In my time, the technical requirements were paramount. Okay, that was the most important thing in my when I was growing up. Right now, it is the environmental issue which is paramount, because the world is facing a very, very dire situation in terms of environment. We need to protect the environment. There is no question about that. Okay, so that is going to assume rather a very, very important aspect in the times to come. So if you gear yourself now to make your design as environmentally friendly as possible, okay, then you are preparing yourself for the future. That's what I would like to advise. So the advice to the designer is to remain flexible. Okay, like you should have a clear mind and also remain flexible, and develop as robust a design as possible. Okay, there are always compromises, constraints. Under the circumstances, you should design as robust a design as possible so that it will survive as the requirements change over time. We have seen examples of this earlier, especially in water bombers, correct? Who's in water bomber group? And
Yes,
cargo
sir.
carriers. Huh? Yeah. Haven't you seen some, passenger aircraft and military aircrafts converted to water bombers?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How about cargo aircraft groups? What?
Yes,
Who's in? Who's cargo aircraft?
sir. Naresh.
Can you give an example? Something which was a passenger aircraft or military aircraft converted to cargo aircraft later.
Sir, only variants, sir, but don't know
Yeah,
exact.
variants are actually conversions. Yes,
Yes,
variants.
yes, sir. Boeing, Airbus A330, A330, sir.
Yes, converted to.
Airbus A330-200.
Yes. So that's a very good example, right? How flexible the design was. From one which was carrying passengers, it has been converted to one which is carrying cargo. And they didn't have to go back and redo the whole design. That is the main point. Okay. So now, so the watchwords are compromise, balance, and flexibility. So you see, even these, to have balance and flexibility, it is a very tricky thing. So you have to keep all these three in your mind: compromise, balance between the requirements, and flexibility. Most important is, are you achieving your design specifications or not? When you are doing it, are you violating any norms? Are you following all the rules and regulations determined by the government? Or some hidden specifications are there? Are you taking care of that? Some of you have given, cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Jaipur, London, etc. Why am I giving this? Because all of these may be at different altitudes. The takeoff and landing runs are different at different altitudes. And all these airports may have a different runway length. The aircraft has to take off and land within that runway length. So you have to design according to that. Okay. So why did I come there? Yeah, you have to keep track of other issues except even other than what is maintained directly in the specifications. Environmental issues, are there any regulations? Are you following that or breaking that? Politically, is there a problem if you are flying from country A to country B? In that case, if something doesn't click, how can this design be converted to a different one in that later point of time? Okay, schedule. Will it take too long before you make? Will your competitor beat you to the market? And when you come, you can't make a profit. It doesn't have any meaning. Okay. So you have to do things as quickly as possible. At the same time, keeping all these things in mind. No, but basically, we know already there are three phases. Sometime I have told you this. Conceptual design, first phase, which is what we are going to do in this course. Okay. Now, preliminary design, the next phase. The final one is detailed design. Okay. So you can, it flows like this from conceptual to preliminary to detailed design. And this known, what are known at this point? Conceptual design, basic mission requirements are known. Then things like, examples of this, range may be given, altitude, speed, basic, material properties are known. Material properties are given here. Poisson's ratio, density, Young's modulus. Then the cost. per pound. Okay. All these things are given to you. Material you have to choose from these properties. You are given a choice of materials to choose from. You should know. Okay. So these are the known quantities in conceptual design. Then with this, roughly the results you'll get. It may not be the same for all designs, but most of the times. The wing design will give you airfoil type, and this range, then thickness ratio of the wing, sweep of the wing, taper ratio of the wing, okay, and how much drag is given. Is it the weight? If there is a weight constraint, is it satisfying the weight constraint? Is it within the cost? Suppose I'm not giving you that criteria right now. Every design may be given a certain cost. Okay, whatever happens, I can't spend more than this. Some budget is allocated. Okay, sometimes you will say, you give me the cost, then I'll get the budget. That may be one type of approach. Other approach is, I have so much, I have $10 million to spare. Now give me the design. I want to produce everything with this $10 million, including your conceptual design phase, everything. So then you have to work within that constraint. What is the output of this? Feasible designs. Okay. Output is feasible design. Now there's something called technology readiness level, which is known as TRL. So at the end of this, it is at some level 2 to 3. It has some, let's say 7 to 8 levels, or even let's say 10 levels are there. So at the end of this only, you will know whether we are ready. And typically you will have 1 to 5 different conceptual designs. You are making only one in this course, so you may need 1 to 5 different conceptual designs. Okay, so that in the next stage it will be reduced to 1 or 2. In the preliminary design phase, okay, you see all the the wing structures are inside. Then what is the angle of attack at which, or the pitch, the angle of attack at which you place the airfoil related to the fuselage center line, both for the wing and for the tail. All these things will be decided in the preliminary design. Also aeroelastic requirements, fatigue requirements. So it's a lot of structures here. Flutter requirements, overall strength requirements, everything will be refined, okay, and made more, more fine-tuned in this preliminary design phase. Wind tunnel testing of models will also be carried out in this preliminary design phase. Okay, it's not mentioned here, I'm just telling. So the output will be, the result will be basic internal arrangement of everything, complete external configuration, camber and twist distribution of the wing. If the airfoil is changing over the wing, that also should be accommodated there. Then local flow problems solved by wind tunnel testing and other experimentation. So major load, stresses, deflection and all are calculated. Okay. So this is mature design. Mature design is, technology readiness level 4 to 5, but there's not yet, going to machine shop. That requires detailed design. In the detailed design, you should be ready to design every nut and bolt which connects all the parts. How many parts is it going to be? How are you going to, fix these parts together? How will you make them, produce them, individually and connect them and make it look smooth? So this will involve even local strength requirements, which means that at the nut and bolt level, you should know how we should analyze how much stress is coming on everything at every part, because the danger in design is the weakest link. Okay, so you should make sure of everything at this level. Then producibility. can you produce it in mass? Producing one of them maybe, something. If you want to produce hundreds of them, you may need a different kind of process to do that. Okay, some assembly line process may be easier to produce 100 components. When you do that, is there any sacrifice in the accuracy? Or when you produce, your machine tools may wear with time. Will it have an effect on the product you make? If so, what effect will it have on the performance? Everything should be settled at this stage. So finally, you'll have a detailed design. All the mechanisms, these control mechanisms, everything should be finalized here. Joint fittings and attachments should be finalized. Then finally, you should test so that the design should be refined as much as possible so that it can be manufactured. And after this comes a prototype. Okay, the first prototype will be after this. After detailed design, next phase only prototype design. Okay, so that prototype, if it's made, then it should be tested. So test pilots will be there who are paid actually twice to thrice the amount of normal pilots. They will be risking their lives to fly your design now. Okay, so you must have it in mind. When it comes out of detailed design phase, there are no ifs and buts. It has to fly. Okay. Then after that, test pilot may say that no, the feel is not good. Oh God! Now you have to go back and see what you can do in to improve the handling qualities. Where you should make a compromise, or where you should improve your design. Then you have to go through everything to make sure it is ready. If you do it, all of a sudden in a hodgepodge way, then you may have a tragic result. Okay. Even in programming, the program also has to work perfectly. Okay, you have heard of this stall problem in Max aircrafts recently, some time back. So stall detection software did not detect a stall when there was actually a stall. That led to air crashes. Okay. So it is actually a software problem finally. If you make the software, even the software, there should not be any bugs. When you make a software, don't think that, hey, I'm only making a software. I am not directly involved in, for example, I want to use a better word, but what comes to my mind is, I don't want to put lives in danger. Okay. So even a software can put lives in danger. So in this scenario, software design is also risky. You have to make sure, and you have to know that you are putting so many lives at risks. Okay, any inputs from the class? Anybody wants to say or share anything? We'll take a small break. Nandakumar. Nandakumar? Sibi?
Sir, yes, sir.
Nandakumar, yeah.
Ah,
Tell something so that we can relax for a minute.
sir. Sir, I like football, sir. I watch Premier League, in which I'm Manchester City fan. Now they are going to buy Harry Kane from Tottenham Hotspur, which is set
Oh,
for 160 million deal bid they have made, and 400 k euros they have ready to give his salary, sir.
wow. What is 160 million for?
Sir, that is for transfer, sir, from their team to
Oh,
our team.
so they give this 160 million to the company. I mean, to the what is that club? Tottenham Hotspurs and the other what is
Tottenham
the other one?
Hotspur, from their team club will obtain sir for around 60 million.
Who will get it?
Sir, Manchester City.
Manchester City. Okay, so they are
Yes,
paying them 160 million for this one player.
sir.
The
Plus,
player himself get 400,000 euros
sir, 400 k euros are his salary sir per week.
per week. Oh God.
Yes, sir.
Can you? Oh God. If he gives to us, we'll design an airplane, yeah, small airplane, correct?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. Anyway, that is
Okay.
also an important part of life.
Yes, sir.
So, you are a fan of Manchester.
City, sir, not United.
Manchester City. Okay.
Yes.
How many teams are there?
Sir, there are lower leagues also, sir.
Hmm.
They will compete for the Premier League, sir.
Oh,
So we can't. But actually, around 57 only will have been will would have played for Premier League, sir.
okay, okay. Actually, this in aircrafts also we have some racing aircrafts. Are you aware of that?
What's it? Basic actor.
Racing,
Racing.
race.
Yes,
Ah,
sir, yes. Mm.
ah. Just like your Grand Prix race, no? Uh, Cars
Yes, sir.
go around and thing. Here they'll have a certain airway, a big huge ground where airplanes have to go around in a certain fashion. The first one to finish will get the cup. There are restrictions, your engine size and what you should do, your airplane design. There are some restrictions. You can design within the restrictions. It should have only so many engines and all those stuff, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Fun, boss. So it's there is there are fanatics in Europe for this racing, and even I think in UAE also this some racing is aero racing has taken place. I think I'm not sure. Okay,
Okay.
let
Okay, sir.
thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thanks, Anandakumar. So
Yes, sir.
thanks for the break. We'll go back to lesson now. Okay. So one more. There is some on the left hand side. Some all the process are given again. R&D and market surveys will give mission requirements. After that, we have the conceptual design. What we are doing so far is R&D and market surveys, and I gave you the mission requirements in a very small way. We are doing this, okay? Then you are going to do the conceptual design. Whether requirement is satisfied or not, that's what you will be observing. We are not going through the loop because it will take more time than 6 months. So, or 3 or 4 months, whatever you are doing. The requirements are not satisfied, you have to go back and test check whether start from the requirements again. Whether you have to change the requirements or you have to change the design. You might have had many choices. You might have chosen one of them. If it's not required, choose the other design or refine this design. You keep doing this until requirements are satisfied. Then go to preliminary design, then final evaluation, whether it will work or not, and then go to detailed design. So if you want to get out of the this design, the best stage is after conceptual design when you will make the least loss. Once you go to preliminary design and design, final evaluation, there will be one more round whether you can go ahead with this or not. You will make another level of loss if you go down. But once you go to detailed design, okay, then cost will be huge, very huge, and the test article fabrication will take a lot of money, and then it goes to flight test. Okay, that is asset test. After that, it will go to the for licensing. That is another story. They will check whether each and every airplane satisfy the license requirements. Semilac for military and your what is it? DGCA for the civil one, civil requirements. So in preliminary design, you will go to through wind tunnel tests of scaled aircraft models. So more detailed analysis on aerodynamic loads and component weights, more finer look at them. So structural design is further designed based on that. It's very important to do this. Okay. In these detailed design involves structural design of aircraft and every small detail needed to build the aircraft. End of detailed design, you are sure that you can build it. It will be structurally stable, structurally perfect. All the things structurally, as far as propulsion is concerned, aerodynamically, whether from stability and control point of view, everything should be doable, satisfying the requirements. So I suggest you go through this some of the slides yourself. What are the slide numbers? This is 11 out of 33. This is the second slide he is having. Okay. All these slides are available in Vidya. Were you able to download them? Sanjay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I have not tried downloading them, sir. I thought you'll share this. Okay, I will download it.
No. Yeah, I will share this, but if you want to go through this before I share this, you can download them.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
It's there in intranet, sir.
Yeah, same. Vidya, we had the James, no?
Yes, sir.
Just before that, in aerospace engineering, you'll have some. You just go through. You'll have Rajesh slides there.
Okay, sir. We'll go through, sir.
So, conceptual design phase, the requirements. The requirements what I gave you will define the following, which should be the output of the conceptual design also, or in between. You should evaluate this. What are the missions the aircraft will be called to perform? Or in short, you should have a mission profile or the typical mission profile for which you are designing the aircraft. You can't satisfy each and every possible thing the aircraft can or will do in its lifetime, but you should say for what you are designing, for what purpose, for what mission are you designing. So this is something called mission profile, which is very, very important here. Then you should anybody who's putting their money should know how much the whole process will cost and how much each piece of aircraft will cost. If you sell it, how much profit we'll make. Then I'm putting so much money there. After I sell n number of aircrafts, I'll get back my money which I put in. What is that n? And what is the time period I should wait before I get back that money? And after that, I can make a profit. But by then, I may have to reduce the price also. So if I make a profit, how much is going to be? During this time, inflation is there. So what you should project that inflation into did you factor inflation? How are you going to, muster so much money over the years? Will it come in one piece or, will it come, stage by stage? Somebody will release the money for you in every stage. All these things should be analyzed. Then after you sell it to an end user, how much he or, the company or she should spend to maintain and support its operations. The schedule is how fast. Yeah, that is already I have told you the schedule for the aircraft. Then the mission requirements define what is the purpose, how much the crew, whether UAV or manned, payload, speed, distance, duration, field length. Okay. Then radar signature level, all these things should be defined. Then you will have the cost requirements also. There are, we'll do it in the final cost estimation stage. What is the development cost? What is the acquisition cost? What is the operation and support cost? Life cycle cost, LCC it's called. So you know the abbreviations also. Now this is a life cycle cost, the sum of all these costs: development, acquisition, and operation and support cost. Then CAIV, for government programs, they want to know cost as in, given the cost, how much can you produce? The ulta they want. Okay. As government, they'll get the funding. Then within that money, you have to produce. That is another. Then maintenance and support requirements. After how many man hours should you perform on maintenance? For example, your landing gear, the wheel tires may have to be replaced after every 2-3 landings. That is based on the number of landings. Whereas some parts may have to be replaced based on number of flying hours. Most of these are based on flying hours. So if you fly for a long time, you may have to replace them after a certain number of hours. Then ground support equipment. That is when it is on the ground, you have to overhaul, and what is the cost of those support equipments you have to either buy or rent out. Yeah, then the main maintenance levels will be there. Organization level maintenance, intermediate maintenance, and depot maintenance. Then integrated logistics and supports plan. Logistics and supports. How far will it be? Many of these airlines actually rent the aircraft from owners. Okay, so the owners should actually worry about logistics. How am I going to carry this plane from here to there? Will it fly on its own or it needs some other support? All these are logistics. Then contractor support or user support. You may want to outsource something, or you may want to the user himself to do some of the support himself. You won't support him. All these should be made clear to the user at the point of selling. We have been, learning about DGCA. It is a regulatory body for India attached to Minister of Civil Aviation. Mainly, they deal with safety issues. So you may design something which works well. What if it's not safe, either for the pilot or for the environment or for others in the ground? So it's responsible for regulation of air transport services to or from or within India, and for enforcement of civil air regulations, air safety and airworthiness standards. So there are airworthiness officers there, for which aeronautical engineers are needed every day, every year. Probably if some of you are interested in such a career, you can investigate and apply on your own. It's a good job. I mean, if you get there, it's a government job, and you get a nice life if you get a job. If you're good enough, and you continue staying there for a long time. Headquarters is located in Delhi with regional offices in various parts of India. These are the places at which regional airworthiness offices are located. You can look at the one nearest to your home. Okay, nearest to my home is Chennai. Or no, Bangalore. Bangalore is nearer to my home, Coimbatore. Chennai is further away. Where is Patiala actually? I'm not sure. Anyone knows?
Sir, Haryana?
Punjab.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not asking. I'm just asking. Tell me the correct. If you know, certainly. Someone told Haryana, someone told Punjab. Who are they?
So Patiala
It's in
is in
Punjab.
Punjab actually.
Patiala is in Punjab. Okay, very good, very good. Good. Thanks. Apart from regional airworthiness offices, there are 5 regional air safety offices: Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, and Hyderabad. And the regional research R&D office located at Bangalore, and the gliding center at Pune. So it's distributed all over India. India there's a representative of India who participates in ICAO. ICAO is International Civil Aviation Authority. ICAO. Okay. So the ICAO regulations are enforced by DGCA. Apart from any special regulation, DGCA itself may have. So you go to this website dgca.nic.in and you just explore and see, what are the various kinds of operations they do. You can also look for any job opportunities. Okay. Once you have this aeronautical degree, and once you know all the rules and regulations here, you are really qualified to apply for this. So one more, we are going into the details which you already seen. Overall requirements, weight, takeoff weight, wing loading, wing design, I'll say. Then fuselage design, tail design, engine selection, takeoff and landing. Enhanced lift design is flap design. Then structural design, material selection. Refined weight analysis, actually in our flow it will come before after this only. After this, sometimes we may have to do it even before structural analysis. And then you should do static stability and control. First you evaluate the static stability. Basically you evaluate only Cm alpha or dCm by d alpha, but you also estimate your dCn by d beta for roll and directional stability. At this point you also design your rudder, elevator and aileron. Then after everything you estimate the cost, then you do some trade-off studies, you write the design summary report and your job is over for this course. Okay, and these are the steps typically found in conceptual design. So give you some basic knowledge about classification of aircrafts based on function, power plant and configuration. Historically, we have seen this in your introduction to aerospace, historical aircrafts. Then functional classification, you can classify them to civil aircraft and military aircraft. Beautiful figures are given here. Just go through. So primary requirements of civil transport aircraft. In civil, you have basically two types. Even agricultural may come inside this. But generally, you can broadly divide them into passenger plane and cargo plane. So for passenger planes, you should have high safety level, high payload carrying capacity, because so many passengers and their baggages you have to carry. Economy in operation, you are bothered about making profit, and in return you give comforts and safety to the passengers. Then ability to fly in any weather, because most of the weather, if weather is too bad, then you avoid flying there. Okay, but it should be able to fly in as worse conditions as possible. Then ability to use aerodromes of respective classes. So passenger planes, we may have different classes of passenger planes, like executive planes, then jetliner. These are two very different classes. They should be able to use the airports or aerodromes which are appropriate for those classes. They may have different storage space, different runway lengths, etc., etc. Whereas cargo planes don't bother about comforts, okay, and the safety level can be a little bit less than what you have for passenger planes, because only one or two will be flying the plane. Apart from that, the other requirements are same for cargo planes. Military aircraft, okay, we have bombers, fighters, basically, okay. So in bombers, you have two types of bombers, strategic and tactical. So strategic means to penetrate into deep in the enemy territory, destroy their base and come back. So they should have a long range And after going so long, you want to destroy a large thing, not a small tank and come back. So you should have high missile payload carrying capacity to carry heavy weaponry. Then high speed. You don't want to stay in enemy territory for a long time. You want to go finish a job and come back as quickly as possible. Before they know the damage is done, you have to return. That is the idea. Ideally, but you can't do it. Okay. Then high endurance. In case something you have to change the route, what do you do? Okay, you may have to come through a longer range, or you may have to you may have to wait for the right opportunity to strike until all the planes are there. It is not, there is some delay there, so you may have to wait sometimes. High ceiling, because it should not be detected by radars. So high ceiling height is important. So all these, if I have not given us requirements in strategic bomber, who's in strategic bomber group? Who are in strategic bomber group? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Who are there?
12, sir.
Huh?
Group 12, sir.
Right. Members.
Myself, Sugantan, Dev, Priya, and Raghu, sir.
So yeah, so make note of these factors, which I may not have specified directly.
Sure.
Okay. So okay, it is almost time, right, to end the class? It's time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Somebody has given a chat. Aishwarya. Oh yeah, she's leaving for placement exams. Fine, no problem.
Yes, sir. 18 and 31 are gone for placements.
Just send me a
Yes.
message so that I.
Okay.
1831. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So I'll end the meeting now. You stop the recording also.
Okay.